What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and I'm here to take you through the most comprehensive NBA player prop preview for the Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks game. If it's your first time checking out the channel, I'll let you know I do this every single day. We go through Outlier, I share my screen, I'll take you through the bets that I like, I give you the reasons why, we talk about key matchups, form lines, good things, bad things, whatever it takes to help you make the best bets possible. Yesterday, we switched gears on it a little bit. I was a little bit tired, so I cheated. I took a shortcut, and that shortcut was the playerpropshop.com. Now, they had another winning day on the picks that they provided. In the last video, I shared 4 of these picks, and I asked you guys to vote on your favorite 2 picks for me to bet on. It was pretty unanimous. The 2 picks that stood out to you guys, which I promised to throw $200 on, they both cashed. We took Donovan Mitchell over 27.5 points and Jason Tatum over 9.5 rebounds. Both of those cashed sweat-free in the third quarter of that game. Easy money. Now, there's only 4 days left for this 60% discount on the yearly subscription for the playerpropshop.com. I've already signed up. Check it out in the link below. And be sure to use Outlier to do your research before you finalize any bets. Now, before we get into today's preview, I want to give a massive shout out to DIYOJ. Now, DIYOJ is an amazing service that creates custom jerseys just like this. So you know how I like to get drippy sometimes. So I went ahead, I copped the white baseball jersey with the teal and purple accents, and I got those to match my snapbacks. I got Daft previews on the front, got my name on the back, repping number 11 to support my favorite player, Kyrie Irving. So not only does DIYOJ have customized baseball jerseys, I want you to check this out. They got custom jerseys for a wide range of sports: baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, hoodies, shorts, jackets, softball, pants, shirts, golf, hats, t-shirts. You know it. You can get it in bulk. There's a lot of great savings. And even for those of you guys in the US, free shipping. Now, if you guys are interested in getting a custom jersey, head over to www.diyoj.com. I'll click on the link in the video description below. Use the coupon code Daft Previews to get 10% off your order. So get yourself a custom jersey. They come in at a great price and the quality is on point. Now let's jump into the preview. So we're jumping into the Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks. Firstly, in terms of lineups, Tyrese Halliburton, game time decision once again. He was in the last game, hasn't recovered. Looks like he's going to be playing, I would say. And he wasn't too bad in that first game. The line, New York, only -4.5. So I think that line was 5.5 or 6.5 in the first game. Total points line have gone up 222.5 points. Makes sense. After that last game was pretty high scoring, 238 points scored. The Knicks won 121-117. Before we start looking at the props, let's analyze the box score to see what the hell happened in that last game and see if we can have any thoughts and opinions before we dive deep into the data. All right, taking a look at the box score first, we've got the Indiana Pacers up first. Now, what catches our attention? We had Aaron Naismith. He got 6 boards. That would have been over his line for sure. Pascal Siakam, 19.6 rebounds and 5 assists. Now, his points line was pretty much spot on. 6 rebounds, well under what the line was projected at. 5 assists, well over what his line was projected at. So interested to see where they set those. We saw Miles Turner score 23 points. He only had 2 rebounds in that game. So that could be an interesting look. We saw Tyrese Halliburton, despite the game time decision status, 36 minutes, but he only played 6 minutes and 6 points. He only got 6 points and had 8 assists. Andrew Nembhard had 11 points and 4 assists and 2 rebounds. Obi Toppin was great in only 19 minutes played. 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. TJ McConnell was an absolute beast. 16 shot attempts in 22 minutes, scoring 18 points and only 3 assists off the bench. We saw Isaiah Jackson and Ben Shepherd get some time as well. Isaiah Jackson, 8 points, 5 rebounds, whilst Ben Shepherd had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. So he covered his PRA with ease. Now, looking at these New York Knicks, we saw OG Anunoby had 9 rebounds and 4 assists, smashed his lines. Josh Hart, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, covering all three of his lines. He played 48 minutes in that game, Josh Hart. Isaiah Hartenstein, 13 points, only 6 boards, but 4 assists. Jalen Brunson was a monster again, 43 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. So in that last game, we took his over in points, under in assists. Feeling his point line's probably going to move up and his assist line's going to move down, but let's see where we end up on that. Dante DiVincenzo, 5 3-pointers made, 25 points, 43 minutes played. If Dante DiVincenzo is going to play this good every game, Miles McBride's not going to get any run time. So Mitch Robinson, he only played 11 minutes. I heard that he's out for the series, so we might see some more Precious Achiuwa minutes. Maybe Jericho Sims makes an appearance, or maybe Isaiah Hartenstein gets even more minutes. So he played 36 minutes in that last game. Still only had 6 rebounds, though, but 13 points might be something that we could look at as well. So we're jumping back in the outline now, and I had to sit down. My old ass knees is going to be able to stand up for this whole time. Now let's talk about it. I've got the filters on. Pacers versus Knicks. First thing I want to do, get these odds right. I don't want to bet on anything worse than minus 125. Let's see what hit rates are coming up for us. So first ones that show up, we've got Ben Shepherd here from the Indiana Pacers. So we'll get through all these Pacers players first, and then we'll jump into the Knicks. So let me filter all these Knicks boys out. Pacers only. Now we're filtering these by hit rate. So Ben Shepherd, clearly a value play, depending on how many minutes he can get off the bench. He's 1. Andrew Nembhard rebounds and assists is showing up as well. And then we'll go down the list. And as we get through each player and their hit rate, we might dive further into their lines. But have a look at Ben Shepherd. So I've taken his bet before on the PRA. 7.5 is the line. He's now covered this in 9 of his last 10. 8 consecutive games above. I had this as a lean coming into this game because I wasn't sure he was going to get minutes against the New York Knicks. Well, my man's got minutes. He's averaging 19 minutes over his last 10. And in those 17 minutes, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. So his PRA is 7.5. He finished on 12. Now let's talk about it. He was 3 from 5 from the field, 60%. So probably made 1 extra bucket than you would expect. Regardless, still would have covered this line. 2 3-pointers, 50%. So probably 1 3-pointer more than you think he would. So probably you can lower this a little bit, but he still covers his PRA. It would be tight, but he covers it nonetheless. So the volume's not extremely high, but for the line that you're getting and the hit rate that we're seeing here for Ben Shepherd, it's pretty good. He tends to shoot a pretty high percentage, doesn't get to the free throw line very much at all. Rebound chances, he only had 2 rebound chances in that last game, and he finished with 2 rebounds. So that, out of his last 10 games, the lowest volume of rebound chances that Ben Shepherd has seen. So I feel like the only way is up there, which is a positive sign. Looking at his potential assists, though, doesn't get too many of those. So you'd really be banking on his points plus rebounds. Does get assists from time to time, but his assist line is only at 0.5. So I think looking at the PRA, definitely worth adding the assist to it. Points-wise, his line's at 3.5. He's covered that in 7 of his last 10. And rebounds, his line is at 1.5. He's covered his rebound line in 9 of his last 10, but you're only seeing odds here at minus 140, so that's not great. But for those of you guys are playing fantasy, chalkboard, sleeper, underdog, prize picks, whatever the hell those are called, if you can get Ben Shepherd over 1.5 rebounds, hell yeah. He's covered that in 2 straight games against the Knicks. But for me, I am a sports bettor. A lot of you guys are sports bettors as well. I'd honestly be looking here at the PRA for Ben Shepherd. 7.5. It's plus money. Now, we love plus money. He's cashed this in 2 straight games against the New York Knicks. 9 out of his last 10 games. Why the hell would you avoid it? Now, it's the run is gonna stop eventually, right? But why the wheels come off? So Ben Shepherd, PRA, that's one thing on my list to investigate a little bit further. Next up, Andrew Nembhard. We'll go through all of his props, but let's start with rebounds plus assists because these have been cashing quite well. 6.5 rebounds plus assists. 8 of his last 10 games. Did not hit this in the last game. Had only 4 assists and 2 rebounds. In head-to-head matchups against the Knicks, he has covered in 5 of his last 8. 2 consecutive games, he's gone under this. And I think the main reason to get accurate numbers, Tyrese Halliburton was missing in some of these games. So with Halliburton in the lineup, he's covered this in 3 out of his last 6. So now the hit rate is not so great. Halliburton has played in the last 10, though. So Nembhard definitely getting the minutes. Minutes are there. 29 minutes only in that last game, but TJ McConnell went off, right? And I'm not expecting TJ McConnell to play that good every single night. We should see some regression in TJ McConnell, so Andrew Nemhard should get more minutes, more opportunities, in my casual opinion. Now, looking at his rebound chances, only had 4 rebound chances in that last game, finished with 2, which is somewhat low. He's averaging 6.2 as an average. And his potential assists, he did have 11 potential assists, though, which is above his average of 8.5 over his last 10 games. And he finished on 4 assists. So if those potential assist numbers can stay there, he could get more assists. The rebound chances, I'd see an improvement in there. So the Nemhard rebounds plus assist angle, I don't necessarily hate it, right? I'll say that. So let me add that to my short list. And let's just break this boy down. Points. His line is at 11.5. He's cashed this in 5 of his last 10. In the playoffs, he had cashed this in 5 straight games, finished with 11 points against the Knicks in the last one. He shot the ball 10 times, which is pretty much where his average is, but he only shot 40% from the field, which is the worst shooting performance he's had so far in the playoffs. Did make a 3-pointer, got to the line, made 2 free throws. So I think if you're looking at it over here for Andrew Nemhard, it's plus money too. If you're looking at the over, you're really banking on him to improve in his shot percentage, where he not shoot 40%. Now, over his last 10 games, he's shooting 55% from the field. On the season, 51% from the field is his average. So he does shoot better than he did in that last game, is what I'm trying to say. So I think the Nemhard PRA could actually be a good angle. Given the points one, I'd expect some sort of improvement. The rebounds and assists we've just looked at. So PRA, he's covered in, all the playoff games he covered. Just went under against the Knicks. We've gone through it all. I think there's real upside here. So that Knicks game was the lowest number of minutes he's played so far in the playoffs. And we saw that TJ McConnell went absolutely crazy in that game and earned himself some extra time. Just double checking to see if there were any other guards off the bench. Well, there was Ben Shepherd as well, but I don't know if Ben Shepherd was necessarily stealing minutes from Nemhard. He could have been. Offers a little bit more size at the 2-guard position, but at the same time, it's Jalen Brunson doing all the damage, right? So, I don't hate the Nemhard play. I think there could be some value there, but I'm not loving it enough to jot it down and research that later. Who else have we got? We've got Spicy P. Oops, there's an error. Here we go. Pascal Siakam. So the hit rate is very good in his first quarter rebounds. Lines at 1.5. He has cashed this in 8 of his last 10 games so far in this playoffs. 6 games, he's cashed this 4 times. In head-to-head matchups, he's cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games against the New York Knicks since he's been traded to the Indiana Pacers. He's playing about 8 to 9 minutes in the first quarter. So if we filter this maybe just by his last 10 home road games, and Pascal Siakam has hit this in 8 of his last 10 road games. So at minus 120, I honestly don't hate that. I don't hate it. I'll tell you. But first quarter props do get a little bit dicey, you know what I'm saying? So I'll take that with a grain of salt, but it's not the worst looking play out there. Having a look at Pascal Siakam's points prop, 19.5. Ooh, he's gone under his points prop in 5 consecutive games now. Last 2 games, though, 19 points in both of them. 19 points in that last game against the New York Knicks. He played 36 minutes, which is where I would expect him to play. He shot the ball 16 times. Shot 50% from the field, which is pretty good. 1 from 3 3-pointers, but he only got to the line 4 times. So I feel like this line for Pascal Siakam is pretty sharp, unless you have other information around how they play, who the matchups are, and stuff like that. I think this line is pretty much spot on. Just looking at the data here, you couldn't lean over or under. So, no plays on Siakam's points for me. Looking at his rebounds line, 7.5 plus money. Only had 6 boards in that last game against the Knicks. He's got under in 3 straight. Prior to that, first 4 games against the Bucks did cover this line, but his line in the Bucks series got up to 9.5 at one point. So in terms of how he's performed against the expectation where that line was, I think Siakam's under now in 5 straight games. So looking at his rebound chances, only had 9 rebound chances in that last game, which is very low. I'm surprised he even got 6 boards. So with those rebound chances, if that was to happen again, I would definitely be betting the under. Now, odds for the under at minus 119. It's not a fun bet to play, but that's the direction I'd be leaning in. I'm not taking it. But his assist prop, that's still at 3.5. He had 5 assists in that last game. This line of 3.5 has cashed in. Looking at his playoff games, how many games is this? I can't count. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's played 7 games in the playoffs so far. He's cashed this in 5 of those 7 games. He had 5 potential assists in that last game and finished with 5 assists, which is pretty crazy. So the 5 potential assists are not very high. For him to get 4 assists from 5, I would not be betting that. That seems like a real outlier. But looking at his potential assist volumes and actual assist volumes, when he does have potential assists, they have to be some sort of layups, right? Layups or dunks or wide open shots, because his assist to potential assist ratio is quite high. Yeah, I'm not loving this, to be honest, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go over. So no bets on Pascal Siakam for me. Who else do we have here from Pacer Town? Tyrese Halliburton. How could we forget? Now, he doesn't have any consistency over his last 10, over his last 5. Nothing's really happening there in head-to-head matchups. No major numbers unless you're like fading him. One that has an 83% hit rate against the New York Knicks is his three-point prop. Under 2.5 3-pointers for Tyrese Halliburton is plus money, plus 114. He's gone under in 5 of 6 games against the New York Knicks. Looking at his attempts, averaging 6.8 attempts per game, took 5 in that last game, finishing with 2, shot 40% from the field. But yeah, I'd definitely lean to the under here for Halliburton. At these odds, probably not the worst play to take. The Knicks did allow the 10th fewest three-pointers made and the fewest three-pointers made to point guards on the season. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me here to take the under for Tyrese Halliburton. I just feel like it's a painful bet to take. That doesn't seem like fun at all. But, yeah, let's check it out. I'll put it down on the list. But let's go through his other props. His point sign is at 16.5. This probably correlates quite well with the three-point. Now, he's only gone over this in 2 of 6 games against the Knicks. Obviously, he only had 6 points in that last game. 2 from 5 from downtown. Only took 6 shots. So 5 of those 6 shots were three-pointers. The volume is not there. So how do you not take Tyrese Halliburton unders? Looking at his last 5 games, he did start to shoot the ball and score a bit more against the Bucks. Took a lot more shots. Headed into the Knicks series and went quiet. Very similar to how he started the Bucks series. First game against the Bucks, took 7 shots. The following game, took 10 shots and made 4. And then the last 4 games, he was just shooting like mad. So tough to get a read here on Tyrese Halliburton, but I can't help but lean to the under. He is plus money, but he's a little bit unpredictable. I wonder what the parlay is for under in his points, under in his 3-pointers, but yeah, I don't really like unders. I don't like them. They don't treat me well. And I'm not feeling good about that one. But his assist line is an interesting one. 8.5 is the line for his assists. He has cashed this in 3 out of the 7 games so far in the playoffs, which is not great. That last game against the Knicks had 8 assists. Against New York, he's covered this in 3 out of his last 6 games. He hasn't gone 2 consecutive games under his assist prop. So he's going over, under, which means the next one must be an over, right? But who bets like that? So the over his 8.5 assists is minus 150. So the odds aren't terrific. But let's look at that last game. He had 15 potential assists in that game, which is lower than his average in his last 10. On the season, Halliburton was averaging almost 18 potential assists in order to get 10.7 assists. Over his last 10, 16.1 potential assists to get 9.4, and he only had 15 potential assists in that last game, finishing with 8. So I think I don't think he gets like right on 9 or whatever. I think he's going to blast the shit out of this line, or he's not hitting it. So I think there's probably value here in taking the 10. You can see here over his last 10 games, hasn't had a game with 9. Looking at his last 20 games, 2 games with 9. So yeah, I'm not loving the assist prop. I'd obviously lead to the over. This is Tyrese Halliburton. We should see a different response, but also injuries, right? I think it's back spasms. Let me double check it. Yeah, he's still got back spasms. So that's what I'm hesitant about. I know that's what's impacting his scoring. Could impact his ability to get some assists, but yeah, tough read. And the way things have been going, let's not force out bets, not look for reasons to take them, but let's just jump out at things that are, I guess, more obvious and easier for us to handle. Let's talk about TJ McConnell off the bench. Had a beast of a game in that last one. Let's talk about it. Let's look at his points prop first. So 10.5 is the line you're getting for TJ McConnell. He's hit this in 4 of his last 6 games against the New York Knicks. Over the last 10 games, he has covered this line in 2 straight games. Went through a 5-game stretch against the Bucks. First 5 games against the Bucks, did not get over 10.5 points. Last 2 games, man's been cooking. Last 2 games, minutes have been up, 22 minutes per night. Shot attempts, very high, 16 shots in 22 minutes. In the last game against the Bucks, 7 for 9. So we saw a high percentage there for TJ McConnell. Doesn't shoot 3-pointers and doesn't get to the line very much at all. So if he's going to cover this, you're basically needing him to make 6 shots. If he's going to get the minutes and put up this many shots, yeah, take the over every single time. His average shot attempts are at 11, averaging 5.6 field goals made per game. So his average over the last 10 is under this. I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't know if he could do it 2 games in a row. Probably not 18 points, but he can score 11, sure. But I'm not willing to take it. His assist prop 3.5 has covered in 6 of his last 10. Had only 3 assists in that last game and 7 potential assists. Looking at how he's gone against the Knicks in the past, 4 out of his last 6 games, averaging 8 potential assists. Tough to get a man from the bench to get cooking like that. So I'm not really feeling TJ McConnell in this one. Andrew Nembhard, we've gone through. Aaron Naismith. Let's check out Naismith real quick, see where his lines are sitting. All right, so Outliers pre-populated his points plus rebounds prop. This is very interesting. 15.5 points plus rebounds for Aaron Naismith. He's covered in 7 consecutive games against the Knicks, averaging 21.5 points and rebounds, which is very interesting. Looking at his last 10, he's covered this line in 6 of his last 10 games, 2 consecutive games over this line. So that's somewhat interesting. Points-wise, 11.5 is the line. He's covered this in 5 of his last 10 games, averaging 10.9 points. But against the Knicks, he's covered this in 7 consecutive games. Now, what the hell's going on here? Minutes, 30 minutes a night, taking on average 10 field goals per game. Only took 6 in that last game against the Knicks, but he was 6 from 6 from the line. Missed both of his 3-pointers. Over his last 10, we're seeing an average of 8.2 attempts, 4.8 3-pointers. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm loving this line. I don't know if he can get to the free throw line that often again, but if he's not getting to the free throw line, he's probably just taking shots, right? So the volume's there. 6 free throw attempts. He's taken at least 3 more shots, so it takes him to 9 if he doesn't shoot free throws, but he typically does. So, yeah, I'm not loving or hating this line. It's an interesting one for sure. If he goes over his points and rebound line again, shit, when they go back to Indiana, we might have to take a look at that. Rebounds, 4.5 is the line, 4 of his last 10, and in 4 of 7 against the Knicks, so we're not loving that. And then his assist line's at 1.5. He had 3 assists in that last game, which is crazy. Minus 129 for the over. He's only cashed in 2 of his 7 against the Knicks, 5 out of his last 10. So Naismith, not loving that. Where's my boy Miles? We've got Miles Turner, Obi Toppin, and Ben Shepherd to get through. Actually, we've gone through Ben Shepherd. Miles Turner. All right. Under 1.5 blocks. Right. So if you take Miles Turner under 1.5 blocks, you're getting plus money. So he's gone under this in 5 consecutive games against the Knicks. He had 1 block in that last game. The Knicks don't get blocked too often. 5.3 blocks per game is all they give up. That's probably because they don't necessarily attack the basket. There's a lot of Jalen Brunson in the mid-range and a lot of shooting outside. So Miles Turner played 35 minutes in the last game. 30 minutes is an average against the Knicks. Last 10 games, he's getting 30 minutes as well. So he's gone under 1.5 blocks in 7 out of his last 10 games. Very interesting. So I don't know. I don't love this. Well, I don't hate it, actually, to be honest. I just, again, one of those things that I'm probably not going to enjoy betting on. But yeah, I could see it happening for sure. We'll keep an eye on that. What? His line's at 17.5. He's cashed this in 5 of his last 10. 3 out of his last 5 against New York. Last 2 games against the Knicks, 23 and 23 points. Both of these games on the road, which is an interesting one. Let's dive. 35 minutes, 16 shot attempts, 8 from 16. 2 from 6 from deep, 33%, and he even got to the free throw line as well, 5 from 6 from the line. So Miles Turner had a very strong game. Great scoring game. The question is, will he do it again? Now, against the Bucks, he had a lot of strong games consecutively. And then once he was slow, he stayed slow. So that might be the adjustments made throughout the series. I am looking at volume alone. The first couple of games of that Buck series, 17, 15, 21, and 17 shot attempts. He took 16 shot attempts against the Knicks. So you can probably expect to see more. You got Tyrese Halliburton banged up. Miles Turner overs could be the wave. So I'll look into that a little bit further. I don't absolutely hate that. Checking out his rebound prop. So I had a lean for him to go under 7.5 boards. He only finished with 2 in that last game against New York. So he's covered this line in 4 of his last 10 games. Against the Knicks, he's covered in 3 or 5. So leading up into that last game, 3 or 4 games, he had gone over, which is probably why I was so hesitant. Now, looking at his rebound chances, had 9 rebound chances in that last game against the Knicks, which is extremely low for someone who played 35 minutes. He's probably attempting to block a lot of shots or help it on D or something, but you would expect a little bit more chances there for Miles Turner. So the rebound chances are low, therefore the actual rebounds are low. But we've seen in the past 16, 17, and 17 rebound chances against the Knicks before. A lot of those games this season. So, yeah, even though that game was really poor, you can expect some sort of bounce back. I'm not saying he bounces back over this line, but I'm not confident in taking that under because I think there will be some bounce back and he should get closer to 8, I would say. Now let's talk about Obi Toppin. Man, this guy was good again. I was thinking new series, new team. Does he get benched a little bit or whatever? But Obi Toppin, get him popping. So he had 3 assists in that last game, which is wild. That's 3 consecutive games above this 1.5 assist line. 1.5 assists is plus money. Against the Knicks, he's now covered in 3 out of his last 4 games. So in that last game, 3 potential assists and finished with 3. So yeah, it's probably not the smartest play. 2.2 potential assists, and you need 2 assists in order for this to cash. The temptation is good. The hit rate is okay, but man, 2 to 3 potential assists, and you need 2 of them. It's a very risky play there. But let's get into his points prop because he's been hitting this like a motherfucker. 9.5 points. Obi Toppin is the line. He's cashed this in 5 straight. 12 points in that last game against the Knicks in only 19 minutes. 5 from 7 from the field. 2 from 3 from deep. Didn't even get to the free throw line. And head-to-head matchups against his old team, he's covered this in 2 out of 4 games. 9-12, 9-12. So, yeah, Obi. So the hit rate is great. But the odds makers aren't necessarily moving this line too much. He might be some sort of regression soon. Only took 7 shots in that last game, which is interesting. So 71% from the field, 2 from 3 from deep, finishing with 12 points. I feel like he can't possibly shoot 70% again, back to back. But the alternative way to him hitting this bet is if he takes 9 to 10 shots, like he has done against Milwaukee in the past. So yeah, but based on volume alone, if he only got 7 shots in 19 minutes, if he was shooting well, I'm just quickly going to check his plus minus actually in that last game, see what was going on here. So Obi Toppin, he was a +4 when he was on the court as well. So the plus minus was pretty strong. The paces were good when Toppin was playing. He still only got 19 minutes and he took 7 shots. So he might not get any more than 19 minutes. Question is, will he get more than 7 time frame? And that's where I'm a little bit hesitant, right? Because if he shoots 7 shots again, if we know he's only going to shoot 7, I would not touch this line because he might shoot 4 for 7, and that might put him on 8 to 9 points, depending if he makes a 3-pointer or not. So I'm a little bit hesitant to take that. Let's look at his rebound plays, though. This one could be a good one. 4.5 rebounds for Obi Toppin. It's plus money. 7 of his last 10. Had 6 rebounds in that last game against the Knicks. Speaking of the Knicks, he's covered this in 2 of his last 4 games. But yeah, the rebound chances, not super high here for Obi Toppin. The hit rate is great. Let's not muck around. But yeah, again, I'm on the fence, you know what I'm saying? Points plus rebounds, looking at 14.5 for Obi. That's cashed in 6 consecutive games now. And based off what I've seen, I can't get behind it. A lot of people might be betting this. It seems like a great play if you just look at the hit rate, but sometimes if I overanalyze his shit, it gets worse for me. So yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant on that. So quick little recap on the Knicks plays. The Pacers plays I do not mind. We've got Ben Shepherd's PRA, Nemhard rebounds and assists, Pascal Siakam first quarter rebounds, fading Tyrese Halliburton under 2.5 points or under 16.5 points, and Miles Turner over 17.5 points. So they're the ones I'm leaning that I might bet on. To help you guys out, when I post my pinned comment, I'll put all the leans that I have just in case you're interested in playing any of them. But let's get ready to jump into the New York Knicks. Popping the brakes real quick with y'all. Got a quick announcement to make. First one, watch party tomorrow. And there's going to be watch parties every day from Sunday to Thursday next week. I do have some time off work, so I'll be streaming each and every day, and I invite you to join me. Sign up to Playback TV. The link's in the description below. It's completely free to sign up. You can jump into that stream and watch the game with me and ride some bets. Speaking of time off work, my calendar is open for you guys to do some coaching. I'll do some coaching with you to help you with your sports betting skills. Here's some of the feedback from someone who's done my coaching in the past. I'll pop it up on the screen so you can see it. During the first month, I've joined Daft and I set some goals to try and achieve throughout the month, which he keeps me accountable for and allowed my discipline to be at its best state. This month, I've gone 21.42 units in profit while maintaining an awesome staking plan and discipline along the way. I was used to being negative every month, in which I would do stupid bets, which would make me fall even more. Through Daft, he has shown me that I can not only be profitable, but I can also be very level-headed when I go on a losing spree. I would highly recommend that you lads give this a go. I am 110% staying with Daft through this journey, and it's something that will help me long-term, both financially and mentally. So there's a bit of feedback on the coaching that I have done around sports betting. So if you guys are keen to check that out, there's a Calendly link in the video description below. Click on that link and you will see all the times where I'm available, and you can book me in and we can do some coaching. I know there's a lot of you guys have already booked me in, so I'm pretty keen for that. But get it while it's hot, lads. I'm pretty keen to catch up with y'all. Now, let's back to the preview. Let's go. All right, let's feast on these New York Knicks. Started with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, we read him like an absolute book last time, but it did feel somewhat easy to read that. Now, let's talk through it. Firstly, Outliers telling us Jalen Brunson's gone under 12.5 rebounds plus assists in 6 consecutive games against the New York Knicks. He had 12 of those in the last game, so that makes me a little bit nervous. He had a lot of potential assists, rebound chances at 9, played a whole lot of minutes. So I don't know if I can get around that. So let's break down his individual props. My Lord, his points line is 37.5. It is plus money, but it's 37.5. I think I picked this up at 34.5 in the last game. So, yeah, is this not the highest line we've seen so far in this playoffs? My Lord. Now, Jalen Brunson has covered this line in 3 straight games against the Pacers, 40, 39, and 43. Makes sense. So far in this playoffs, he's gone over this line in 5 consecutive games. So we took the over in the last game because we expected a high volume of shots for him to shoot close to 50%, and both of those happened. 26 shots, 54% from the field, made 14 buckets, 1 from 4 from downtown, and he hit 14 out of 14 free throws. So for this play, I would definitely lean to the over, but 37.5 points, that's enough for me to say no. I don't want to play it. I don't want to do it. So I don't know if you're feeling what I'm feeling, but I am never going to bet on anyone to go over 37.5 just to double my money. That ain't happening. Nah, he's more than capable. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just not going to bet that. That is crazy. Let's look at his assist prop. 8.5. So the line has not moved. I bet the under last time, 8.5. At minus 148, I would not bet that as a straight bet. Now, those of you using fantasy apps and you just have to pick more or less, Jalen Brunson under 8.5. I think that's a great play. Looking at alt lines, because I do think he goes under 7.5, you'll get plus money for. Plus money for under 7.5 assists. So he finished on 6 of that last game. Did have 15 potential assists, though, which is quite high. Played a whole lot of minutes, and I think he plays a whole lot of minutes again. But 15 potential assists? On God. So, yeah, seems like a tough one. He's got under his assist prop in 6 out of 6 games against the Pacers, but those 15 potential assists were the most he's had in any of those games. So he's averaging 11 potential assists and 4 average assists. So if I do some hood mathematics, if we're talking about 4 more potential assists, he's probably getting closer to... He's probably getting 2 more than he averages. Oh, well, yeah, actually, that makes sense. So the ratio is not too different, actually. Given those potential assists, he's probably going to push around 6 to 7, I would say, with my hood mathematics. So I think leaning the under here, alternate play at 7.5 to get plus money. Maybe you can find a sports book that has him at under 7.5. I think that could be a wave right here. The 8.5, again, not good unless you're looking at fantasies and putting it in parlays and stuff like that. But the 7.5 might be something I can muck around with. Looking at his rebound prop, 4.5 boards. He had 6 rebounds in that last game. He had only covered this in 2 or 6 games. 9 potential assists, pretty wild. Numbers a little bit all over the place. His potential rebounds don't change too much, just whether he secures the board or not. So no play on Jalen Brunson rebounds for me. Nah. Who else we got up in this? OG Anunoby. So he had a pretty decent game in game 1. I think he finished on 13 points. His line's probably a bit higher than that. It is. 16.5 points is the line. 13 points in that last game. 42 minutes. 5 for 14 and 3 from 7 from deep. So he missed a lot of not easy shots, but he missed a lot of shots, well, a lot of twos, which you would assume would have to be layups, right? Bit of Miles Turner action, perhaps, but 5 from 14. So the volume is good at 14, but 36% from the field, not so great. So looking at his last 10 games, that 36% he shot in that last game against Indiana was the worst shooting performance he's put together over his last 10. He's normally hitting at about 48% hit rate. So 48%, 14 shots. Let me do some hood mathematics, meaning I'm going to go online and look at a calculator. So 48% of 14 is 6.7. So 6 to 7 buckets, meaning he would have made 1 to 2 more shots, which would give him 2 to 4 more points, which will take him to 15 or 17 points. And the line is at 16.5. So, those cheeky odds makers are at it again. So even if he takes 14 shots, shoots a little bit better, still might fall under this line. So, yeah, I think that line is just about right. I don't see an edge there for OG, but there might be something on his rebounds. Oh, that line's high. 7.5. He had 9 rebounds in that last game, which is crazy. He's only covered this line in 3 of his last 10 games. He had 15 rebound chances in that last one. So at 15 rebound chances, I think the 7.5 is pretty sharp. I wouldn't take the over. Obviously, the under 7.5 is favored. You can get that minus 148. So, yeah, the odds makers thinking that he goes under in this one as well. I'd have to lean that way. I think 9 rebounds is a common thing for OG Anunoby. But yeah, once again, I'm not going to be taking that bet. Let's have a look at Dante DiVincenzo. So he absolutely lit these fools up. Points wise, his line is at 17.5. He's covered this in 3 out of 4 games against the Pacers. 38, 20, 14, and 25 points in that most recent game. A lot of minutes. Shot attempts were pretty decent. 17 shots, made 10. 5 from 9 from deep, which is pretty wild. Looking at his last 10 games, he's covered this line in 4 of his last 10, so not great. 3 times so far in this playoffs. The games where he does cover, he hits 5 3-pointers by the looks of it. So, yeah, looking at his attempts, they're pretty good, but if he shoots poorly, then his minutes get cut. So, Dante DiVincenzo, I think it's really dependent on how he starts. Because if he starts off poorly, they're better off putting Miles McBride in there. So, I'm not sure if I can take DiVincenzo to go over 3 consecutive games now. I don't think he's built that way. So, I'm not a fan of that. We then have Josh Hart. Now, Josh Hart is... this man is frustrating as hell because he's so hard to bet on. Like he gets crazy stats, but he's so inconsistent. I can't seem to get it. So this is his points prop, 16.5. This is his games against Indiana. That last game where he scored 24 was the first game he's covered this line. Prior to that, 6, 10, 10, 5, and 4. Then he erupts for 24 points, of course. Played all 48 minutes, took 13 shots, made 9 of them. Made only 1 3-pointer, 5 from 8 from the free throw line. Looking at his last 10 games, he has been pretty good so far in this playoffs. Not going to lie. So in these playoff games, he's covered this in 5 of 7. 5 of 7 playoff games, Josh Hart has covered this. He has a great hit rate at home so far in this playoffs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 home games in this playoff so far. And Josh Hart has covered this line in all of them. So that's an interesting one. Looking at his home games, yep, we've got the 4 playoff games here. 5 of his last 10 games at home. He's covered all four of those games. More recent ones were at home. So Josh Hart at home, yeah, how do you not, right? So I'd lean to the over on that, but for no other reason than the fact that his hit rate is good, and especially good at home so far in this playoffs. That's the only reason I could take it. His form against the Pacers is trash. you could assume that last game he might have gotten lucky, but it is the playoffs after all. So, yeah, I would lean to the over in Josh Hart points, but for no other reason than that. So, I'm just being honest. Now, his assist prop is 5.5. He's cashed this in 2 or 6 games against the Pacers, had 8 assists in that last game from 11 potential assists. So, that's not very high. Looking at his last 10 games, his potential assist pretty much doesn't change too much from game to game. Would change is the volume of shots his teammates make after him passing them the ball. So I feel the line at 5.5 is just about right. If he's going to get 9, 10, 11 potential assists, yeah, then 5.5 assists seems good. I think the 8 assists is definitely an overperformance. I'm not overly excited by the 8 assists. But if he had 8 assists and 16 potential assists, I'll be like, fuck yeah, take that 5.5, eat it, shove it up your ass, do whatever you want with it, but take it. But on 11 potential assists, and that's what he seems to average, 10 to 11. Yeah, I think the 5.5 is just about right. So I'm not keen enough to bet on that. 3-point lines at 1.5. He only took 1 3-pointer in that last game. He did make it, but only one. And in head-to-head matchups against the Pacers, he's gone under this in 6 straight games. So, yeah, I'm not loving the 3-point stuff. I know the Pacers don't give up too many 3-pointers. So, rebounds, if we're looking at it, might be a wave here. So, he's covered this in 1 of 6 games against the Pacers. 13 rebounds in game 1. He had 20 rebound chances, which is the most he's had against the Pacers in this time frame. Looking so far in the playoffs, he's covered this in 5 out of 7 games so far in the playoffs. Pretty wild. Averaging 20 rebound chances in his last 10. But yeah, I would say that this line is just about right. But 20 rebound chances is pretty low, I would say, for someone who minutes. But at the same time, high scoring games, both teams scored quite a bit, which is going to reduce the chances to get rebounds anyway. So yeah, I'm not overly keen here. This could be a lower scoring game than what happened in the first one. Defenses potentially lock in and more rebound chances become available. But yeah, now I need to get a few things right. Not only would I need the game script to change and slow down to give him more chances, I'll then need to make sure he gets those chances and then collects those rebounds. So there's too many things that need to happen in order for Josh Hart to cover that rebound line. So I'm not overly keen on that. We've got Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, the big dog played 36 minutes. We've got no Mitchell Robinson. I believe he's out for the rest of the season. That left ankle is cooked. They'll be missing Mitchell Robinson and Bogdanovic now. They're out for the rest of the season, along with Julius Randle. So someone like Hartenstein probably gets as many minutes that he could possibly get. Jericho Sims could get 5 to 10 minutes, but Hartenstein's really going to be their main big. So his points line, 11.5. He's cashed this in 2 straight against the Pacers. His last 3 games, 32, 35, and 36 minutes. Looking at his attempts, he took 9 shots in that last game, the most he's taken against the Pacers. He shot 56% from the field. His average against the Pacers is 60%, and he got to the free throw line once. So that's not a big thing of his. Looking at his last 10 games, he's covered this in 4 of the 7 games so far in the playoffs. He's shooting 61% over his last 10 games. So that field goal percentage at 60 is where you would expect it to be. 56% in that last game. So yeah, I think that really checks out. But now there's no Mitchell Robinson, who does take a few minutes away from him. I wonder if anything stands out to us if we remove Mitchell Robinson. Cash in 4 of his last 10 without Mitchell Robinson, but only 1 of these games are in the playoffs. So that filter's not helping us out right there. So, yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein should get 35 to 38 minutes in this game. I don't see him getting into any foul trouble. He did have 4 fouls in the last game, though, but I'm not overly concerned by that. He'll be out there for a long time. I think the Pacers are going to need to do more to stop Jalen Brunson. Does that mean they leave someone like Isaiah Hartenstein available? Yeah, probably. But look, I'd lean to the over here for Hartenstein. He's going to get the minutes. Will he get the shots, though? We know he's going to shoot about 60%. We know he's going to play about 35 to 38 minutes. But is he going to get the shot attempts is my only concern. But I don't hate that play for him. Now we go to his rebound prop. It's at 9.5. He only had 6 rebounds in that last game. He's now gone under this in 7 consecutive games. Old Isaiah Hartenstein in head-to-head matchups against the Pacers had 1 game with 19 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson didn't play in this game. Mitchell Robinson didn't play much in that last game, but Hartenstein only had 6 boards. He only had 11 rebound chances, which is pretty wild. So, I think the 6 rebound chances in 36 minutes, though, that doesn't make too much sense to me. It's got to be some sort of outlier unless he's defending Miles Turner on the perimeter or unless they're hedging. So I didn't watch much of that last game, so I can't comment on how Hartenstein was playing. If you do have that information, then that would help you make a better decision here. But this is going to be a game where Hartenstein just sits in the paint. He's going to be defending Miles Turner, who takes a high volume of shots, takes a lot of three-pointers too. So that's probably taking him out of position to rebound. So points I can fuck with for Hartenstein. Rebounds, I'm definitely on the fence for that. We've got Miles McBride. Now, there's nothing major that's going to show you for Miles McBride because, honestly, he'll hit all of his lines depending if he gets the minutes or not. So let's just look at his PRA. His line's at 8.5. He's cashed this in 1 of 8 games against the Pacers. In that game against the Pacers where he cashed it, he'd play 29 minutes, you see? All the other games didn't get much runtime. 10 minutes in that last game. We look at his last 10. He's got a great hit rate in his last 10, but you can see in all those games, or the majority of those games where he's covered his PRA, played more than 20 minutes. Last game against the Pacers, only got 10 and had 1 assist. So not too much happening there for Miles McBride. I think if you're going to bet a Miles McBride, it has to be a live bet. If Dante DiVincenzo starts off poorly, then the live bet for McBride could be on because he is a better defender, but DiVincenzo more experienced and the better shooter in this game. So, yeah, I think Miles McBride, if you're betting, take a look at it live, baby. But quick recap on what I like on that game, where I'm thinking Halliburton fade his. Oh, actually, that's the wrong game. I'm looking at Jalen Brunson under his assist prop, Isaiah Hartenstein over 11.5. Actually, this is all in the same game. My God, it's so late. Think, mate, think. So, from the Knicks team, Hartenstein points, Jalen Brunson under 7.5 assists. I think he goes over his points line, but I'm not going to take a bet at 37.5. How we could fade him, Siakam first quarter rebounds, Nembhard rebounds and assists, Ben Shepherd PRA. All different plays which come to mind, but I am going to do more research. Reminder to check out the watch party. I'll be in there streaming. You'll see it pop up on YouTube, but I encourage you, sign up to Playback TV, watch the game so you don't have to see my face the whole time. Josh from Land Your Bets, if you're watching, I'm going to see if I can join your stream tomorrow because your boy's not working. Let me get on there. So we'll see what we can do. Research the hell out of this game. Have a lot of fun writing some bets, and hopefully we bag some winners. And I'll also be referring to the player prop shop, see what they have for me. I might tail some of their bets. But I appreciate you all if you made it this far. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.